They
Yeah.
want to know that they matter and that they're making a difference, because when we die, they're not going to talk about how big our bank account was. They're going to talk about the impact that we made on the people around us and, what was the effect of our life, right? And I think we have got to do a better job in this country of talking about the effect of those people that choose that path and how important and impactful that choice can be for all of us. And
he's flown the missions, written the contracts, and now he's rebuilding the industrial backbone America depends on. This episode is about why manufacturing, not policy, is a real national security strategy. John Albers is a retired Marine colonel, test pilot, and acquisitions officer who spent 24 years defending this country before deciding to rebuild it. What he saw from inside the defense system wasn't a bureaucracy. It was a fragile, hollowed out industrial base increasingly dependent on outsourced manufacturing. Instead of walking away after his retirement, John founded Albers Aerospace to do the hard, unglamorous work of rebuilding America's manufacturing middle, one tier 2 and tier 3 supplier at a time. His company blends advanced digital engineering with old school trades, pairing cutting edge capability with deep respect for the shop floor. John leads with servant leadership shaped by his Marine values, a belief in eating last, and an idea that culture is as mission critical as capability. This is a story about failing forward, rebuilding with purpose, and choosing to manufacture not just parts, but national resilience. Hello and welcome back to the Manufacturing Culture Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Mayer. I want to thank you first, before we get started, just for being here, taking the time to spend about 40 minutes with John and I to start your day or finish your day or in the middle of your day, whenever you're listening. Thanks for being here. Quick housekeeping. Please take 2 seconds to go on whatever platform that you're listening to us on right now and rate and review the show. It's not for my ego. It's not for John's ego. It's to help others discover the show, because every time somebody rates and reviews the show, somebody else finds us. And I don't know how algorithms work. That's beyond my breadth of knowledge. But I do know that every time you rate and review the show, somebody else finds it. So go do that. Without further ado, John Albers, welcome to the Manufacturing Culture Podcast. How are you doing today, bud?
I'm well, Jim. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I
Excited
appreciate
about
you
the
being here.
platform.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun conversation, man. It really is. We've had it planned for a while. You've got a great team over there following up, making sure that I am minding my P's and Q's, making sure that you're not traveling when we're recording, all the things. So really appreciate this time that you're spending with us. John, our first icebreaker here on the Manufacturing Culture Podcast is just a fun question, but it really frames who you are as a human being for me and for the listeners. So, John, if your life were a movie, what genre would it be? Who plays you? And what's the opening scene?
Yeah, that's a great, I actually love that question. It was so good. Like, man, that makes you think, right? Like that's a good one. It really makes you think. And so I have thought a lot about it. And I'm not a big movie guy. I enjoy movies, but much more a reader.
Yeah.
So I think the answer that I landed on was sports or historical drama. Okay. And the movie is Miracle from 2000.
Yeah.
The character would be Herb Brooks, not because Herb was the spotlight. Actually, Herb wasn't like a spotlight guy. It's more of, and then the scene, if you go watch the movie again, it's in my top 2. I never played ice hockey, but my 3 boys did. One still does. He's 18 years old playing junior hockey. And
Cool.
And so it's the opening scene where Herb goes to Colorado Springs to meet with the USA Hockey guys and talk about his plan. And you see that Herb is going counter to the system. He's like, no, guys, the way we've been doing it is wrong. We need to do it differently. And everybody's like, oh man, I don't know, Herb. Like, I don't think that's gonna work, And his whole thing was team. The name on the front is more important than the name on the back, right? And he picked his guys. I mean, crap, he had them picked out pretty much before the whole tryout started, right? It's actually, I've read some other books about it. It was not quite as quick as the movie made it out to be. But anyway, I think that's what I would pick, right? And one thing from a leadership perspective that I've admired, which is why I've read as much as I can about Herb, was his ability to understand his people, his players, and know that, hey, this one guy, I need to yell at him and call him a pansy in front of everybody else. And that guy is going to get pissed off and he'll run through a wall for the team because I did that. The other guy, he needs to put his arm around him and whisper to him quietly and say, hey, man, I understand what you're going through. It's going to be okay. And, you know, so his ability to understand his folks was it's just like from a leadership perspective, man, it's literally eye watering to me. And
Yeah.
So anyway, there's
I
my
love
answer.
that. No, I love that answer, man. And Miracle and wildly enough, John Wick are the two most like referenced movies
Really?
on this podcast.
No way.
And yeah, and so I am going to have to now, I think I'm going to have to just have like a running tally, and maybe I'll put a whiteboard behind me or something like that for recording days. But I get Miracle, right? To me that's logical. It's a great movie, just phenomenal story. The name on the front is more important than the name on the back. That specific moment has been quoted on here more
Mm,
times than
mm.
I can remember, right? John Wick, I don't really understand, but that's
Yeah,
for a
I'm gonna
different
have to go watch
conversation.
that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go watch that now and see if I can figure out what's going on there. Yeah, it's just a great. I mean, well, it's a true story, right? And that's what makes it um, so compelling, I think, right? So
Absolutely.
anyway,
Yeah. No, I
yeah,
love it. And again, great movie, great sports moment in our history. And yeah, I love those historical
yeah.
drama type flicks. I
I
spend
thought about
most of my
Apollo 13 too, actually,
all right. Yeah.
and not to take us off track here, but the scene I would have picked, I don't know if I could have given you. Maybe it's like the mission control guy who I just drew a blank. Was it, forget that guy's name. Gene Kranz,
It
or is
was.
that
Yeah.
the actor? I think it's Gene Kranz. But it's actually the oxygen scene where they get the team together and they dump all the parts on the table and they're like, hey, we got to take all of this and turn it into this, right? So save these guys. I actually played that clip for the team, for a smaller team that I had. We got asked about a year ago by the customer to do something really fast. And they were like, hey man, you do this, you're good, but if you screw it up, like your name's gonna be ugh, you know.
Yeah.
And and so that was the movie that the Lord put on my mind. And so I played that clip. I'm like, hey boys, this is our Apollo 13 moment. This is it, dude. And I love the intensity of that scene. And then
Yeah.
the hey, people are counting on us. We gotta freaking figure it out, right?
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
and yeah, anyway, that was the other one I thought of, but it felt a little too cliche. I thought, what's funny is I'm clearly I should listen to more of your podcast. I was like, hockey would be totally different. Nope, it's empty often most quoted. Shoot. That's all good.
No, I love it. And I mean, I don't expect every guest that I've had to be like a recurring listener every week. I put out 100 as of recording this, I've put out 142 episodes of this show. Only about I think 40 have I've asked this question in, right? So about a third, but there's so much content out there. I can't expect you to listen to every
Yeah.
single one of my shows when there's so much other great content out there. I just appreciate when people do listen.
Yeah. No, it's good. You got a great platform. I mean, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't like what you've done.
Awesome. I
Um,
appreciate that.
yeah, man.
All
Absolutely.
right, so let's get into question number 2. Also fun question, but a little bit more on the serious side of fun.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what
Mm,
culture means to you.
yeah.
Everybody's knows that dictionary definition, and everybody's lived experience frames what their own definition is, and your background, which we'll get into here in a moment, is
Mhm.
amazing. So talk to us about what your view of culture is.
Um, so uh actually I don't know if I can, for those who are watching, does that come out
Yeah.
so it's people first, mission always,
Yep.
right? My view of culture actually is it is a part of the strategy. If you don't have a good culture, you can still execute with a culture. But if you really want to go do something impactful, you got to have a great culture, which requires a ton of work and very intentional. behavior, whether it's eating last, little things, right, that demonstrate this. I went to Texas A&M, and so part of my little shtick is, hey, look, man, I'm just a 2.9 guy from Texas A&M who's a Marine, so I'm not that smart, but I'll outwork you. And then in those two institutions, I was in the Corps Cadets at A&M. You learn the value of culture. And even in the movie, right, you look at Herb Brooks, he built a culture around the name on the front, not the name on the back. But that wasn't how those guys came in. We're not naturally inclined to go there as people. And I also think it's super fragile in a sense. Like, as soon as the leader starts to break down the setting and maintaining of the culture, it'll fall apart. And so the thing that I consider culture like a strategic differentiator for us. It is a key component. It's in everything that we talk about. We're investing in leadership development programs that involve culture aspects to talk about, this is how we behave. This is what we believe. This is, down to how and mostly around how we value people. Okay. We have a recent hire I just talked to the other day. He's been here like 2 weeks, and he says to me, hey, I just have to, because he came from one of the large primes. He says, I have to tell you, my first day here, I was sitting in the lobby, and every person that walked by asked me if they could help me. He's like, man, that never happened once at my previous employer. Not once. And we're not a tiny place. We got several hundred people here that work. I mean, we got multiple locations, but my point is we're not like a 20-person shop where it's really easy to feel intimate. Hey, a good part of my job and that sucks up my brain powers. How do I preserve and keep the culture? And I talk about it all the time, and I tell people, because I think there's also a belief out there that as you get bigger, you can't maintain that feel. You can't do this. Like, no. You're buying into a lie. Look at the Marine Corps. It's 180,000 roughly people. Could be 170 now. Congress moves the number around. But it's been around for 250 years, man. And that culture, it's changed a tiny little bit, but it's basically the same. And the reason is this, because when people join, they agree these are the cultural norms, and they buy into it, and they say, I will enforce that as well, because one person can't uphold a culture outside of a small group, right? It takes all of us saying, this is the way we act, this is the way we execute, it's the way we treat people, and we don't let other people hang around if they won't act like us, simplistically, right? And so I'm constantly inviting the team into doing that part of the mission with me and telling them, like, hey, man, I need you to buy into this, right? And so if somebody's not a good fit, doesn't mean they're a bad person. Just means they're not a good fit, right? So that's how we think about culture. Like, we think about it a lot. I think it's super, super, super important.
Yeah.
And I think it's the reason we're able to accomplish what we've been able to accomplish so far. It's a big, big part of it, for sure.
I love that. And I mean, yes, I wholeheartedly agree. It's an intentional thing. Every company has a culture, whether you intend to build a culture one way or not, right? I wholeheartedly agree that it takes intention and perseverance to maintain that culture, right? But to me, one of the most important parts that you just talked about when it comes to culture is the role that everybody has in maintaining that culture. You, as the leader of Albers, can't be the only one beating that culture drum, right?
No. Yeah. Just doesn't work.
It doesn't work. There has to be mutual levels of accountability at every level, from the person mopping the bathrooms to you in your office. Everybody has to be rowing in that same direction, but be comfortable holding each other accountable to those cultural norms, right?
Yeah. And like, so obviously the Marine Corps is pretty hierarchical. You got generals, you got colonels, and all this. Okay, so I came from a hierarchical organization. Here, there is a hierarchy because you have to. There's got to be a guy with my name's on the door. So, but yeah, I'm the CEO. But I tell everybody, like, hey, my time is just as valuable as yours. Matter of fact, your job might be more important than mine because you're actually making revenue. I'm just running my gums and freaking, you know what I mean? Like, trying to keep us out of make macro decisions. Like, you guys, what you do matters. You do real things. And so it goes back to eat last. They're more important than I am. I need them to know, and I talk about everybody's role. I use the sports analogy in the company. Um, that's why we don't call people employees. We call them teammates. And my thing is, because teammates is sort of like a level setting thing. And, take hockey, like Alex Ovechkin won he's the highest scoring guy in the history of the NHL. Well, he didn't get there by himself. I mean, he's an incredible talent, and he's the one hitting the puck into the net. But his trainer, his teammates, like all these other things, right? And so I'm constantly talking about everybody's role is important. And then also a lot of times, like, I love to do this with the finance team is like, hey, when people ask you, what do you do? I don't want you to tell me you're an accountant. You tell them I support the warfighter,
All
right?
right.
Part of the culture is describing ourselves in a different way to give ourselves a sense of purpose. Everybody wants a sense of purpose. Everybody wants their life to be meaningful and matter. And I am super passionate about creating an environment where they can feel that way because I believe that. And if their role isn't important, then it shouldn't. Why am I paying them? Right? Like, why are we paying them? And so we pay attention to those things. But when we do that, it's about, and it's not like, hey, I want you to feel good about yourself for the sake of feeling good about yourself. It's a genuine, like, you matter, and don't diminish yourself because you think, oh, I'm not that important. I just do the payroll, or like, oh, I'm going to get out of your way. You're coming to get a cup of coffee. Like, well, get out of my way. Let me make you a cup of coffee. Right? Seriously, like, people, it's like, oh, he's a CEO. Like, get out of the way. Like, dude, man, come on. Put my drawers on just like everybody else. I'm crazy enough to take risks that some people won't take. I'll say that makes me different, but hey, man, my heart beats just like everybody else's. And I have hurts and desires and dreams, and just like everybody else. And so all of that, I think, Jim, fits into our culture and how we talk about people. And I think that's, again, just to keep coming back to it, man, I think that's a big, big part of why we were, but man, it takes more than me. I can ruin it in a day. As soon as I stop being the example setter
Yes.
and start making this thing about me, it's over, right? It'll be a slow crumble, but I can ruin it in a day, essentially. But boy, it takes, weeks and months and, repetitive things, right, to keep after it. So that'd be my encouragement to a listener maybe that struggle with that, is like, hey man, that's got to be like 25% of your job. It doesn't feel tactical. It's super soft. You can't put metrics next to it, but invest in that, building whatever it is that's unique to that person, right? They're that leader.
100%.
And do that, and you will start to see it. It won't happen overnight, but you'll start to see it.
Yep. Awesome. So, Jeff, how long, or John, I'm sorry, how long did you spend in the military, in the
I
Marine
did
Corps?
24 years in the Marine Corps. 24 years in
Wow.
the So yeah.
Thank you for your service, man. It's a very special time when I have previously enlisted on here. You guys appreciate you. Let's just put
Yeah,
it
for
that.
sure. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, what point after your 23 years in, John, did you say, okay, this in defense industrial base is at risk, and the way I'm going to help solve that is through manufacturing? What was that impetus for you?
Yeah. It's a great question. So I was an aviator in the Marines. So I was an officer, got to be a test pilot guy, and then turned into this acquisition guy, because the Marine Corps created that as a career field when I was a major. And I'm sort of in a place where I really almost had no choice. So I did it out of, I'll call it necessity, but it actually ended up being like a perfect fit for who I am and how I'm wired. In that job, when I got promoted to colonel, I got sent to be the aide to the assistant secretary of the Navy for research, development, and acquisitions. So I was his aide for a year. That opened my eyes to the industrial base issues, because that person in that role, they're dealing with all of those things. So that was eye opening one. I didn't think I was going to get promoted to colonel. And so I was trying to figure out, what am I going to do when I hang up my uniform? And as an aviator, like, sort of, especially, I was a C-130 guy originally. The easy thing is like, oh, I'll go be an airline guy. And a whole bunch of my friends over the years have and are airline pilots. And I was just like, dude, that's not how I'm wired. I think it would be fun for about 60 days to go. I've flown 59 different airplanes. I still fly today. I love flying airplanes. I was like, I think it'd be fun for about 60 days. Like, fly a new airplane, pop into a couple cities, like bebopping, talking to some folks. I'd be like, dude, I'm bored. They don't care what I mean, it's just a job where they got a checklist to follow, right? There's boom, boom, boom. And like, oh no, I think I would not. So I was like, I think I should try to do my own business. Now, part of the story is I thought I was a pretty good business guy. And so when I retired and moved here to the Dallas area, I actually started I tried a retail operation with my brother-in-law. And we got absolutely smoked, man. I mean, just smoked. It went downhill super fast. We overpaid we bought two existing businesses and a franchise tag and tried to integrate this whole thing together. We were pulling disparate pieces together. On paper, it was amazing. It all worked. Converting paper to reality is super, super, super hard, right? Like every one of your guys has been on here can attest to that. So those who are dreaming about it, just hear me. I'd do it again, but it's harder than you think. We got smoked. I went deep into the hole, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars, money I didn't have.
Yeah.
It was bad. If I stood up right now, I weighed 219. I weighed 176 from stress. I mean, it was ugly.
Wow.
And so I was like, oh, people were standing up when I walked into a room a few months ago, and now I'm freaking going broke. And I didn't know what to do. This guy from church thought had cancer. He was like, hey man, you got cancer? Like, what's wrong with you? And pulls me aside. I didn't want to tell anybody. I was embarrassed to say I was failing.
Yeah.
But I came clean with that guy. Basically confessed my sin, if you will. Like, oh man, but part of the sin was not being willing to admit that I was failing. Right? Like, it's wrong. It's hubris. It's bad. He tells me, hey kid, you need to exit that thing. He's probably 20 years older than me, and you need to quit. I'm like, my Marines don't quit, man. Like, what do you mean quit? Like, I'm gonna fight my way out of this stupid thing. And he's like, no. And so he helped me put a plan together. I sold the business for pennies on the dollar. I'm almost done paying everybody back. I didn't walk away from anything, dollar for dollar. Everybody got their thing. But I then go to Raytheon. I went and worked for them for 6 months. And I thought that's what I was going to do for the rest of my life, right? Because I was like, I suck, I failed, I'm a loser. And I was at Raytheon for 5.5 months, and I got offered an opportunity. Did not come with a comp change, and it really caused me but it was going to be a significant responsibility change. And I had been in the back of my mind, like, I got to try again. And I went to my wife, who we've been married 35 years in May, and I was like, hey, you got to let me try one more time. I'm like, I know you don't want to, but our daughter was in college. I had 2 kids in high school, and the 18-year-old then was, I don't know, he was 8, 7.
Yeah.
And to her credit, and one for her, man, you and I would be having this podcast, because she could have said, no, you're going to work there where there's a paycheck every 2 weeks, and we're not counting on you to not make another dumb decision.
Yep.
And so that's how I ended up in it, man. And so like 3 years solo, then we started to grow, just hustling and grinding. I was an industrial engineering major, so I've always loved manufacturing. When I was in acquisitions, I helped the Marine Corps buy airplanes like C-130, 3K. I love the production line. I love making stuff, right? Too dumb to know I could go ask people for money to back my concept and go. So like, I just put my head down and went, because I didn't have anything, and I had a major motivation to try to make everything whole again, right? And so literally, the other thing I tell people all the time is like, hey, look, I'm not that good. There's a God thing here, because there's so many things that went my way, and I had some really unique opportunities that I was able to take advantage of and turn into something. And so now we have 400,000 square feet of manufacturing space around the country. We did that without taking any investment from anyone. We've since taken a minority investor, but we did all that without an investor. So, but we did that by finding good deals. I believe in the resurgence of American manufacturing. It's necessary, not just in the industrial base. I think it's necessary for the prosperity of our country.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, again, I can't go operate a CNC machine, dude, but I love it. I love high-fiving the guys on the floor, knowing who they are, because they're doing real work, right? I love making stuff. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's the fast version.
So what do you guys make? Who do you make it for?
Yeah. So we are a supplier to most of the primes, the big primes. Okay. So Lockheed, Raytheon, Kongsberg, Nammo, all these bigger guys. My strategy in the manufacturing stuff was I acquired small, for simplicity's sake, mom and pop shops, right? That were, 5 to $18 million of revenue a year. I bought a slug of those things along the way. So we started the company on a services platform. So we have industrials, which is all our manufacturing stuff. We have a services component, defense related services, think airplane stuff. But what we're making is aircraft components, weapons components. We do extruded aluminum. We do the hard metals. We do sheet metal. We, welding. We do wire and cable harness work. We have our own finishing facility. And so we've really got a nice little, when you and I were younger, they wanted the whole thing sort of spread out. Now they're valuing more like vertical integration where you can control the time schedule and again, I sort of had that. I knew that coming from where I had been, having been the customer. I knew what the customer is, the customer, what we were stressed about and what we valued and wanted to see. It just kind of crept into the thing. And again, when you get your butt kicked the way I did, man, I literally was like, hey, I got to put the colonel in the closet. John is a 22-year-old businessman in a 46-year-old man's body. The math, there's 24 years of Marines because they don't teach you jack about business. They just teach you how to lead and go do other things. And, man, I study 7 days. I still do.
Wow.
I'm constantly studying 7 days a week. Cause I've never been in this role before. I've never led a company this big. I didn't grow up in a company. In the Marines, you can kind of see like, oh, that guy's the colonel, or you can watch him, like, as you're growing, you see how people perform. You're like, oh, if I ever get there, this is what I'll do. I don't know. I got to figure this out every day. So I'm studying like a madman, but I have this mental approach. This is what I think is also important for leaders, right? I have an approach that I don't know everything and that I need to, because the world's changing. Even if you grew up in the space, like the world's changing all the time.
Absolutely.
Be a student of your role. Your people deserve that. I believe they deserve me working my tail off for them so that I do my job really good. Right. And, the guy on the floor, guy or gal down there, shipping and receiving, CNC machinist, the programmer, like TIG welder, they're not deciding what machine we're buying and how to go get the capital and all that, but they're relying on me to make freaking good decisions so they can, get a paycheck, take care of their family. Those are the kinds of things I think about, right? Like they're
Yeah.
relying on me. And
Yep.
yeah. So anyway.
So one of the things that jumped out in your bio and then in the intro I did for you is this idea of digital engineering. We hear a lot about digital manufacturing, but digital engineering isn't as well known as a term. Talk to us how you balance. First, tell us what digital engineering is to Albers Aerospace, but then also talk to us about how you balance that digital side with the human element of skilled trades and being a machinist and all of those things.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So the company started really on systems engineering work, okay, quickly, and I was the guy doing some of it. I could do a little bit, and then I quickly outgrew my skills and started hiring people because they're like, "Hey, we need you to do this." I better go get somebody. But we could see 10 years ago. It was actually my stepbrother helped me, he's older than me. He was the one who really was like, "Hey, man, this model-based systems engineering thing and this whole digital, the computing power's catching up to it all. It's going that direction." And so I would kind of wrap it in a advanced manufacturing is what I'd call it.
Mhm.
That phrase means a lot of different things to a lot of the different people. Like Boeing thinks about it different than Lockheed, than Northrop, and et cetera. So there's always an acknowledgement of that. But it's a combination of model-based systems engineering, think digital twin, and it's unloading paper and getting from design through build and configuration control in a completely digital manner and sort of opening that thread up. And so that's a real simple explanation for it. We are not perfect in that. I think advanced manufacturing also includes robotics. It can include, 3D printing, whether it's metals or plastics, et cetera, right? All of those things sort of come together and it's all tied in a digital thread. So I see all that. The challenge from our seat, as a tier 3, tier 4 company is we're not, for the most part, we have some design subs. We're the prime in some areas and some smaller projects. But for the most part, we're working for somebody else. It's their design. We're building it. Putting that thread, they're all trying to figure out what it means.
Yeah.
And so trying to be nimble enough where we're sort of at the front is hard. I think it's going to be a slow, because it's going to require a lot of investment, at that tier 3, tier 4 level to integrate that capability. And then when you think about from a manufacturing perspective, those of us who own machine shops or manufacturing facilities, a lot of time our secret sauce, if you will, is spindle time, right? It's like, hey, I can cut that thing faster than them. My programmer's better of doing this. Well, this digital thread thing sort of opens that up and exposes, not in a bad way, but it sort of makes that less. And so I think there's going to be resistance, frankly, from the lower tiers to, because we have a business model that's, decades old, right? And so helping people think through that and what's it going to take. Yeah, there's a lot of challenges there, but anyway, we're working on it because the customer wants it, and so we're working on it. We're trying. I say the customer, meaning the ultimate customer for us. 99% of what we do is ultimately for the warfighter, right? It's
Yeah.
ultimately for the warfighter. We're not really diversified into commercial stuff yet, but we might. There might be some of that. I love the mission.
Yeah.
I just do, and it's, you can read in the paper. It's needed.
Absolutely.
We can't do what we need yet, so we got to get there. I want to be a part
Are
of that solution.
have you all designed and developed your digital flows, your that you use, or have you implemented existing platforms out there?
Yes, is what I would say. Both, right? We've done both.
Yeah.
Some of it is, it's like, we're doing work for lots of bigs. We're doing digital engineering stuff for them, helping them with MBSE, augmenting their own internal teams, right? For the most part, engineering is a cost center inside of a company, right? That's just their piece, but they need help a lot of times. And so that's a little niche thing for us. And then, the phrase we use is, hey, man, we got to eat our own dog food here. How do we take what we're doing for these other guys and turn that into what we're doing and like go do it? And so, we could do that better, and we're working on it here in 26. But we're doing it some, and because it's really, I go back to explaining the first thing, like it's different for everybody. Nobody can give you the exact, like there's not one standard. And so trying to figure out what's the right application, all these things, and looking at costs. Again, we have an investor now, but like I'm not backed by anybody. I mean, I started with less than zero and just ground this thing,
You started in on the wrong side of zero.
on the wrong side of zero, man. And so we're plowing this, we're just plowing everything we got in there. And so we can't take big bets, right? We got to be really smart about where we're doing it, because I'm not making those mistakes that I made on that first trial. I won't make them again. I didn't swing all the way to like no risk anymore, right? We're not going to do that. I just try to be really, really smart, make sure we're doing, because we acquired 12 companies from 21 to a year ago. We didn't acquire anything last year, but we did 12 companies, which a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, it's so much. And I'm like, oh, well, I read about a guy who did 28 in a year. I think 12 over 3 years is kind of slow.
Well, and I think it's measured. If you scale too fast, if you acquire too quickly without those systems in place, you run the risk of displacing people from their livelihood, right? And so from the guy who loves culture and healthy leadership and all that stuff, I appreciate the measured approach because you did it in a way that made sure that people kept their jobs and I mean, of course I'm sure there were some turnover, right?
Oh yeah,
Some
for sure.
attrition from a change of leadership because you'll see that anytime there's a change in
Change,
leadership. I don't
right.
care if it's an acquisition or just you hire a new boss. But on the other hand, that was their choice. It wasn't something that they lost their livelihood because of
Business
scaling too fast.
declining, stupid
Yeah.
decisions, right? Yeah, yes. I mean, some of it is unfortunate. There's efficiencies and all kinds of other things. Again, you know, I'm also not back to being the student of the job. There's a lot I could critique on myself about doing those things better. And yeah, I think one day I'll probably, I think about it all the time actually, but
Yeah.
try to get better, right? But yeah, you got to be measured. By the same token, you got to push, man. We just got to push, right?
Yeah.
We got to push because we need to. We let too much go. We made too many money decisions as a country in the late 90s, early 2000s, just shifted out for a flipping buck.
Yep.
Now we're,
Absolutely.
now we're, oof. So, okay,
Yeah.
getting up, let's
We
go.
created a lot of the issues we face as an industry on our own.
Yeah, we really did. We let things, it's political decisions, it's all kinds of other stuff. Like
Yep.
there's a whole slug of people that own where we are today, but you can bellyache all day about where we are. Hey man, we are where we are. Let's go fix it. Right. And so that's where, I think again, going back to fixing it, let's value the trades again. It's happening. It's really, the crash collision. He bought, oh man, he's big. He's doing all the roll ups in the collision repair space. I just drew a blank on that guy's company, but he's really pumping it hard, right? Because it's true. We need it. Like, hey, man, AI can't do car repair.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I think that is a super important thing. I'm glad to see it. Like I tell these young kids, man, if you don't want to be an engineer or a doctor, go be a tradesman. Hell, a pilot's a tradesman. A pilot's a
Absolutely.
tradesman. That's all you are. Like, let's call it what it is. Kind
Yep.
of a cool one, but maybe next to some, but hey, who wants to go fix toilets? Like, there's a lot of people don't want to fix toilets, man. Want to be a millionaire? Go learn how to fix toilets.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to be in the toilet paper business, man. Everybody needs it. It's recession proof, no matter what.
In my neighborhood, there's a guy who, when we first moved in, had one plumbing truck in his driveway every night, right? Fast forward to COVID, so about 8 years later, he had 7 trucks parked at his house because that's where his plumbers would come in the morning. They would
Get that
meet at
talent.
his house, get it. He finally outgrew a home-based plumbing
That's so
business
cool.
and
I
got it.
love that, man.
But
Love it. That's so
that
good.
is that
Yeah.
is that is what trades can do, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And you
Oh,
and
yeah.
I talked in our pre-interview about how skilled trades built the middle class and how we can do that again.
Yeah.
And that's why you and I connected so well and wanted to have this conversation
Yeah.
because we're
Yeah.
so aligned in that. John, one of the things that blows my mind is the average American, the average citizen, the average human, not even outside of the US, seems to think that manufactured products like grow out of the ground fully formed, like their airplane brackets that hold their tray tables in front of them, that grows on a tree, right? They don't know what comes of this. What do you think the average human's biggest misconception about the industry is?
Well, that's a great question. I wish you'd asked me that before. I could have chewed on it better. I think a downfall of a prosperous country is that people stop wanting to do real work. Okay. And then sometimes programs that we do with the best of intentions to help people actually worsens the situation, right? So I think what we have is a messaging problem. You and I are fairly close in age, but they quit doing trades in high school, man, because it wasn't the thing. They were like, "Oh no, if you want to be wealthy one day and be rich, you got to go to college. It's what everybody needs to do." Dude, that's not real. It's just not, right. And that's a whole nother conversation we could spend a lot of time on. But I think it's a messaging problem that we've and that's where it comes back to culture, right? Like I value those folks that are doing that. I don't like treat them differently than an engineer because the engineer's better or whatever. Like, no, dude, like engineer can design all day. If somebody doesn't go build it, it ain't happening.
Yes.
And so, that's where I go back to, it's like in hockey, man. It's the fourth line grinder. Okay. The fourth line guy, his job, he's not the sexy guy. He doesn't, nobody's talking about him, but his job is go out there and not screw it up for 30 seconds. So the first line guy gets a little bit extra rest and could go deliver the puck into the net. Right. And so I think in a lot of ways, the trades are that way. They're just getting it done so that society continues to move along: plumbing, electrical, HVAC, manufacturing, all of these things. So it's a messaging issue. And I mean, let's face it, it's wages and it's all of those things it's a complicated problem, right? It is really a complicated problem. But I think part of it is, look, money matters, but you know what else matters? People want to know that they matter. They want to know that they matter and that they're making a difference, because when we die, they're not going to talk about how big our bank account was. They're going to talk about the impact that we made on the people around us and what was the effect of our life, right? And I think we have got to do a better job in this country of talking about the effect of those people that choose that path and how important and impactful that choice can be for all of us. And like, hey, man, there's a lot of people. It's like join the military, man. They don't join the military to get wealthy. Shoot, it's quite the opposite, right? But they do it because it's meaningful and they know it's going to matter. Like, hey, man, I did something different, and so I think it's kind of baked into all of that. I don't have a
I
super
agree.
technical for you, but
Well,
yeah.
and so I graduated high school in 97. I think we are roughly in the same general age bracket, right? And I see back in the early to mid 90s, I think the military had a very similar problem that we have in manufacturing now, right?
Uh-huh.
In yes, trades were taken out of schools. I was one of the last graduating class to have wood and metal shop in my
Oh,
high
in
school,
high
right?
school.
And then back then, mid 90s and into the 2000s, manufacturing was where we sent the burnouts and the losers, right? The kids who wore all black to school, and they were the kids that struggled in classes and were like, all right, just go to the trade school or go to the
Mhm.
manufacturing program because
Yeah.
you're not going to go to college. And we wrote them off. And we did the same thing with the military then, right? Military was not, it was not as valued
Mhm.
as
No,
it
you're right.
had been in our past and
Yeah.
has become more recently. I think the difference is the US military has a combined budget for advertising that manufacturing does not. I mean, you look at we build submarines as a marketing campaign, as an organization, was able to pump so much fucking money, pardon my language, but so much money into Super Bowl ads.
Yeah.
So for the first time in my
Mm.
life, I saw manufacturing for the defense industrial base, but still manufacturing
Manufacturing. Yeah.
jobs as a commercial on the freaking Super Bowl, man.
Yeah. Right.
So
Yeah.
to
Being
your
elevated
point,
to a place of importance and impact, right?
yes, absolutely. And I think that the problem that manufacturing has had as a whole is we haven't had that combined advertising budget because we haven't had that central place. Because to your point earlier, advanced manufacturing means a lot of different things to a lot of different companies and people. Manufacturing as a whole is such a widespread thing. You've got aerospace and defense manufacturing, you've got rail manufacturing, you got automotive, you've got food,
Dog crates.
everything.
Yeah. You got
Right.
dog crates. You got the whole thing, right? Yeah. Absolutely.
So it's hard to create that centralized manufacturing. Skilled trades is a pathway, right?
Hmm.
So anyway, that's my rant
Well,
about
I
this.
think, yeah, I think you're right. Um, yeah, I believe there's a lot of things running through my head as you talk about that, right? Like there's trades associations and like, are they, it's just things that we should all think about. As a nation. That's the thing. We got to think about this beyond like, hey, John, the Albers Aerospace machining operations are really a big deal. We got to talk about the macro, man. How do we
Yes.
pack that punch at the macro level? Again, let's make trade special, right? Let's make talk about it in a great way. And who you probably ought to go after is moms.
100%.
Go after the moms that and get the moms to talk about how significant it is so that mom's not going, oh, don't do that, honey. I want you to be this. No, get your baby to go be a manufacturing guy or,
Yeah.
or an HVAC or electrician.
I love doing open houses for high schools and
Mm-hmm.
having the parents come through,
Mm,
right? It's one thing when the kids come through because they're young, they're kids. They're like, "Oh, this is cool shit." But when you get those parents to come through and you're able to talk to them about sustainable career paths,
right.
about the ability to change sometimes generational wealth inequalities, right? And really change their trajectory of life
Yeah.
for future generations.
Yeah.
That is impactful. I had a mom a couple of months ago. I was at a high school and she throws boxes for Amazon, right? And she does that because she makes $23 an hour to throw boxes at doors for Amazon, man.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
And I was talking to her son and her daughter, who was 2 years younger. Neither one of them had post high school plans.
Mm,
Her son is graduating this spring. Her daughter's in 2 years. No plans at all for the future. And I was like, well, why not? And she said, well, because they didn't have the grades. That they're not into sports the way that they need to be to get a scholarship.
mhm.
And I said, well, what about a job in the trades, apprenticeships, et cetera, et cetera? She goes, Why would they do an apprenticeship if to get paid less than they can working at McDonald's, at Burger King, at Amazon? And
Mm,
that's the question I ask owners all the time, right?
yeah.
I
Yeah.
When I
There's
was
a
doing consulting, is I'd put them in my car and drive them around the block and show them the banners on the Amazon warehouse and the Burger King paying $23, or in Texas you got Bucky's that'll literally you can make six figures as a manager,
yeah,
and like that's
crazy. Bucky's is a
wild.
whole other story, dude.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But it's just wild.
Well,
It's there, and that's a reality right now. And so to your earlier point about purpose and being valued,
mhm.
that's how we're going to we can't pay more. We
Yeah,
just can't. We
yeah.
we we are not in a place where we can pay more for an entry level job than Amazon or Burger King or Bucky's. What we can do is we can show them that they're valued
Mhm.
internally and
Yep.
nationally and part of the community, right? And I think that's a whole different mindset that manufacturers in their local communities need to take. They need to start highlighting their employees in that local community. What impact does that role
That's
have
right.
on the local community?
On the local community. Yeah, which I mean, it's your whole podcast, right? It's culture. That's culture. Like
Absolutely.
how
Yes.
are you valuing those people, right? That's what it is, man. You just brought it all full circle.
Hey, that's why I started this.
That's right. Yeah, dude. But it's true, right? A lot of things are in a lot of ways are simple. We overcomplicate stuff as human beings. Like we try so hard to freaking overcomplicate stuff. Dude, it's just kind of simple, man. Just value people, tell them they're important because they are. Treat them that way. Nobody wakes up and says, I want to suck today, man. I want to suck. They're like, oh, my, everybody's waking up. They may not even articulate it clearly in their head, but they want to go make a difference. They want to do something that's meaningful and they want to know their life counted. Let's help them do that. Like, what greater privilege is there than that, right? And I think every manufacturing owner and leader has an opportunity to do that with the team that they have, and we have the opportunity to do it as a larger group to the younger folks, right? So I think we should be very intentional. We do that here. We're trying to hire as many young people as we can. I'm very intentional about hiring young people, and let's go grow them and mentor them and turn them
Love that.
into the skilled people group in their 30s that we dreamed about being, right?
Yes.
Because all of us older folks take that wisdom and scars and
Yep.
everything else and pass it to them, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I was in a shop yesterday and did a listening session over lunch just to kind of get a pulse on the shop as a whole. And one of the things that I say a lot, and I said to this group, was, look, nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to go to work today and scrap every single part that I'm going to make. Right? That's never been. I've never met a machinist that woke up and said, I'm going to go make shitty parts today. Every single machinist I've ever met has the viewpoint that they are the best machinist in
Yeah.
the world.
They're
And
actually
it's,
artists
it's,
in a way, right?
yeah, but it's
Almost.
like being a fighter pilot,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Fighter pilots have to have that uncanny confidence that they are the best and that they're not going to get shot out of the sky. Like you've got bullets and missiles whizzing by you when you're flying a $1 billion aircraft. You have to have a certain level of confidence. Machinists have that level of confidence, but on the ground, right? And we need to anyway. I could talk for hours about weaponizing that level of pride that machinists have.
Yeah. And we should, that's a great phrase, right? Like let's weaponize it for good. And here's the other thing. When people do wake up and go, you know what? I don't want to go make a difference today. There's something else going on. And you go back to culture, and a culture that knows that and appreciates it, then watches for it and says, hey, man, you put your arm around them. You go, what's going on today? Like, because again, we all got hurts. We got people that we love pass away. And like, again, there's just tons of things that go wrong. The whole world's busted and stuff's going wrong all the time. Be sensitive to it, man. Be sensitive to your people and watch for it. And don't just bark at them like, hey, you're not performing. Like, what's going on in their life? You want people to be loyal to you? Go show them you're valuable to them. And by like, people are afraid to ask, like, hey, how are things at home? Actually, they suck right now. Okay, well, let's help you figure it out. That's the part they call it intrusive leadership in the military, right? That's the part we do because we know we need them dialed in and focused on the mission. And so if we can help solve some of those problems, right, that's help. But it feels like on this side of the the ledger, people are afraid to do that. And we've gotten sort of like, hey, just everybody live in a silo. And like, oh man, people want to know I care about their wife or their husband and what their kids are doing. And I don't need to be super intrusive, but at least act like you care, be genuine about it. And again, I think you can, all of that starts to build momentum, right? It just, hard work though.
I love it. John, if we get things right on the manufacturing side, on the people side of manufacturing, what kind of country do we become?
Mm. I think we become a much stronger and less fragile country. There's a lot of fragility, right? You can see it in the current administration's trying to mineral rights and even just bringing manufacturing back, right? Because we've let it all out. If you're dependent on everybody else to do things for you, you're not as strong. And, without getting into political theory and where people are on that is really immaterial, right? The whole thing is we are a resource rich country. We have an incredible, by the grace of God, man, we got in between our two, Atlantic and Pacific borders, and to the north we got an immense amount of resources, an incredible, 250-year-old culture, essentially. I just think we become a much stronger country because we're not consumers all the time. We're actually
Yeah.
producers, right? And producers are where you get stronger. Consumers just consume, and that's a downhill slide, right? And so I think that's what happens. That's the part that excites me, and wanting to be a part of it is like, hey man, this is about I do care about the country. I swore to defend the Constitution. In our office here, we have the oath. It's plastered on the wall, like ceiling to floor, man. So people walk in every day, they see that thing,
That's
and they
awesome.
know that is why and I think if I was making cereal boxes, I'd probably still be the same. I mean, um, because it's about the country, right? It's about the country and all of that, right? We got to think beyond ourselves. We got to think beyond, because that's the other thing I think is too many people just thinking about themselves. Like think about the
Yeah.
team, think about the
Yep.
larger team.
Absolutely. John, thank you. I've considered it a couple times, but I don't like either party. So it would have to be on an independent ticket. So there we go. John, what haven't I asked you that you want to share with the audience?
No, I mean you're pretty practiced at this. You do a good job. I mean, if you remember anything about Albers Aerospace, just remember that hey, the story sounds pretty cool, but it was fraught with a lot of pain and heartache. So if that's happening to you, be encouraged. It happens to everybody. Keep fighting. Um, as an owner or a leader, just keep fighting. When you might have to take a knee, but don't quit. And then, hey man, you're the most important and valuable thing I think you can do is be others focused. And if you are others focused into culture, right? We'll use the single word. If you go put the effort into that, your business will do great things. And it
I
will
love
be,
it.
whether your margins are as high as somebody else's, doesn't matter. The margin that you can't measure is in the people that work with you and for you. And that's where your real treasure and impact will be made.
Yeah. Uh, John, I have a lot of people who reach out to me on a regular basis after I launch an episode where I have a leader on from a shop asking me how they can get in touch with that person to because they're looking for a job. So, how can people who may be listening to this that say, "Man, this is a guy I want to work for. I want to go run through a wall for John Albers and Albers Aerospace." How can people get a hold of you?
So albers.aero, AERO is our website. You could go there and, we got the postings for opportunities that we have. And you can actually get to me through that space. Like, hey, I want to talk to John, right? And that'll get you to the right people. And hey, a lot of people, when it was a one-man band for 3 years, as I like to say, and when we started, I called it the Albers Groups because it sounded like more than one guy. And but a lot of people helped me along the way, right? People would sit down with me, talk to me, give me advice. And so I try to, as much as the demands on my time will allow, I will talk to, I'll talk to folks. It might take me a month to get to you, but I'll talk to you and give you encouragement and try to offer, again, just out of my own experiences. I love helping other people. And if they want to come work with us, great. We'd love to have them. We got a great team of people that'll help them get there. And yeah, we're always looking for strong talent. So
Awesome. Thanks for being here, John.
thank you, Jim, for having
Ladies
me.
and yeah, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, John Albers matters because he understands manufacturing from multiple angles. To this industry, he represents a rare bridge between the defense requirements and the shop floor realities that you all are facing. To the broader public, the people who are out there who are listening, who may not be entrenched in manufacturing, his story reframes national security as something built by the welders, the machinists, the engineers, not the policymakers, not the politicians, not the people sitting in Washington. So, for anyone considering a career in manufacturing, please see that John proves that skilled work carries dignity,
Huh.
purpose, and an unbelievable impact. Thank you very much, John.
Yeah,
Ladies
bro.
and gentlemen, thank you for being here. Until next time, keep making things.
All right. See you.